Hello, friend. If you happen to hear this voice today, then trust me, it's not by accident. The universe always has a reason. For the moments it asks you to pause, and this time it's so you can hear something that just might change the next 30 years of your life. You're an Aries, the one who thought you had to be so strong. You forgot what it feels like to fall. But here's what you didn't know. In the silence, the seeds of your good karma have been quietly growing, and starting August 18th, they begin to bloom. I'm not here to predict your future. I'm here to remind you. You've gone far enough to finally start coming home, because right now, beneath the ashes of what you thought had ended, something new is stirring back to life. And it begins with the pain you never told anyone about. In part 1, what Aries has been silently enduring. There's a kind of tiredness no one sees. It doesn't show in your face, can't be measured by sleep hours or hospital machines. It lives deeper than that in a quiet place that only someone like Aries would understand. For years, you've been the flame that refuses to die. You don't wait for applause. You don't need the world to say, well done. You just keep going, head held high, fists clenched, heart always on fire. But somewhere along the road, maybe more than once, you asked yourself, I've come all this way, but for what? I've given so much, what's left that's truly mine? The world praises a strong Aries, but only you know how many times that strength came at the cost of tears no one saw. There were mornings. You opened your eyes with no joy at all, but still got up. Times you gave to others, when you had nothing left for yourself, yet still smiled. You are like a lone gardener, up before the sun, hands in the dirt, face kissed by fire, sowing seeds of hope into dry, cracked earth. Never knowing when or if those seeds will bloom. Still, you plant, you water, you believe, and sometimes you blame yourself for believing too long, but some seeds don't bloom right away. They don't open in the first spring or even the first year. They need darkness. They need silence. They need depth to root deep before ever reaching the light. Dear Aries, when life gives you no answer, it doesn't mean the universe is ignoring you. It just means the soil is holding your seed, quietly, steadily, with love. This isn't the silence of rejection, it's the sacred stillness of a miracle in progress. I've met many Aries in my life. Single moms, retired soldiers, teachers, healers, silent artists, and they all carry the same soul. They live like they're the last pillar holding the sky. They don't ask for comfort. They don't need backup. They just hold steady and keep walking. But even the strongest soul gets tired. Not because it's weak, but because it's walked too far, too long, alone. There are seasons in life not meant for harvesting. They exist so you can rest, so you can breathe inside your own strength like a warrior, not on the battlefield anymore, but in the cave, training the spirit, not to grow softer, but to grow wiser, to grow strong the right way. And if this is where you are now, if you feel you've given everything, and there's nothing left to hold on to, if you wonder, if you still deserve that dream you once whispered to the stars, then pause right here, take a breath, place your hand on your chest and listen. Do you still feel your heart beating? If you do, your fire is still burning and every quiet effort you've made is still being counted, still being seen by something greater than you. The universe hasn't forgotten. It's just waiting for the right moment. And if you're still here listening, then maybe that moment is closer than you think, because one morning soon, a single beam of light will break through the clouds. The ground will tremble just a little, and from the place you once thought was lifeless, a small green sprout will rise. That is not random. That is the universe replying to your quiet resilience. And when that sunlight touches your skin, you'll hear something soft but certain, not trumpets, not fireworks, just a whisper. It's time. And when you look up, you'll see not just the sunrise, but a door, a quiet golden door called 30 years of wealth, a promise from the universe. Some rewards in life don't come because you chased them. They come because you stayed alive even when all hope was gone. It's not a gift, it's a reply, a return of the good karma you sowed in silence, a quiet confirmation from the universe that it saw you, and that you're worthy of more than you ever dared to ask for. Between August 18th and 22nd, 2025, the sky above Aries will shift, but more importantly, a hidden gate within you will open. This isn't just an astrological event. It's not a fun prediction. It's the crossing point between time, will, and faith, between everything you've quietly planted, and the harvest coming from places you least expect. I believe no wealth is random, and no miracle ever arrives without first traveling through loneliness. Do you remember those nights you didn't sleep, and no one knew? Those mornings you pulled yourself out of bed, not from joy but from duty. Do you remember doing the right thing even when no one thanked you? God saw you. Even when you didn't pray, He saw the way you kept going without credit, without reward. And that's wise. This promise doesn't come from pity. It comes from sacred recognition. In the next 30 years, the energy of the universe will begin orbiting you in a new rhythm. You'll no longer live by the beat of "I must push," but by the beat of "I am supported." You won't run to prove yourself. You'll walk with steady faith, knowing God is holding you. Wealth here isn't just bank accounts or fame. It's the richness of inner peace, the freedom of time to live right, the beauty of connections with the right people, at the right time in the right way. It's being fully yourself without being punished for it. One day you'll open your eyes and you won't feel like you're chasing the world anymore. You'll feel the world is turning toward you with gratitude, because you lived true for so long in a world that celebrated the fake. I can't say exactly what will happen in these next 30 years, but I can say this: every step you take will be lifted by a force you can't name. That's faith, the faith you held when no one else did. You might feel someone reach out, just as you're about to fall. You might receive an opportunity. On the day you were ready to quit, you might be heard by the very person who once ignored you. That's not coincidence, that's divine intervention. I used to believe rewards came from effort. Now, I believe rewards come from staying faithful to the light even when you can't see it. Aries, you don't need glory to prove you're worthy, but you are worthy of witnessing it. And the beautiful part is, God wants you to witness it. He doesn't need you to be humble to the point of disappearing. He needs you to shine, but with the kind of light that comes from a heart that's been broken, healed, and now knows how to guide others. And if you're feeling emotional right now, if a certain moment from your past just rose to the surface when you gave your all and no one noticed, I want you to know you're not alone. Tell me, have you ever felt that way? Was there a moment in your life when you thought, I tried so hard, why didn't anyone see it? Share that story in the comments, because maybe your story will be the light for someone else right when they are at their lowest. No one should suffer alone, and true healing begins when we feel heard. But if you really want to walk into the harvest season of your destiny, there's something you need the courage to face. It's not coming from the outside, not from an enemy, but from something living inside you. It's a small snake that shows up every time you're about to receive something beautiful. It's a voice that once kept you safe, but now keeps you small. And to step fully into your destiny, you'll need to look it in the eyes, take a deep breath and keep walking, because before the light floods in, there is always one last shadow to pass through. Now we enter part 3, the silent enemy within you. Aries, the rejections haven't been coming from the world, not from other people, not from life or fate. They've been coming from the deepest part of your own mind, and strangely enough, they don't speak loudly. They whisper, soft, like a warning, quiet, like a shadow passing through your thoughts, right when you're about to step into something new. Am I good enough? Is this even real? What if I mess it up? You don't say those questions out loud. You just think them unconsciously. Then you take a step back, and another, and just like that, you reject the very blessing you prayed for. Aries, when the world finally starts to open its arms to you, when the universe is reaching out its hand, the only thing that can hold you back now is not the challenge, but the belief inside you that's grown too tired to trust. You fought so hard for so long. You learned not to rely on anyone. You learned to control everything, to avoid pain, to avoid helplessness, to avoid that drop when everything falls apart again. But at some point, the very weapons that protected you become the chains that bind you. Control used to keep you safe. Now it keeps you stuck. You see an opportunity and you overthink. You feel a real connection and you doubt it. You hear a calling and suddenly you want to pull away. Not because you're unworthy, but because, deep down, you still believe that good things can vanish at any moment. I want you to stop and breathe, not to forget the pain that made you cautious, but to face it honestly. In Buddhist philosophy, there is no punishment from the universe, only karma, the natural result of how we treat ourselves. If you always doubt yourself, the universe won't force you to believe in better. It waits for you to open. It waits for you to trust the light inside, before the light outside can find its way in. Aries, you've worked too hard to doubt the very thing you once prayed for. You wished for love, for recognition, for safety. And when it finally comes, you feel anxious. You wonder, is this real? Will it last? Can I keep it? But you weren't born to guard treasure with clenched fists. You were born to live, to receive, to trust. Maybe you lost something precious, a person, a dream, an innocent version of yourself. And since then, you've promised yourself never to lose again. But Aries, life doesn't bloom in closed fists. Only when you open your hands, your heart, your soul, can anything stay, not because you held it tight, but because you truly welcomed it. I know, believing in good things takes courage, believing in love after betrayal, believing in light after years in darkness, believing you're worthy without having to carry the world. But listen, the moment you let go of just a little control, the moment you let yourself believe, you also let God in. And when He steps in, He doesn't need you to be perfect. He just needs you to be open. So if your heart feels softer right now, if you feel the cracks beginning to show, if you have just a little courage to loosen your grip, do it, because the moment you release, the light will pour in, and you'll realize the miracle never left. You just got used to locking the door from the inside. Now that you understand, now that you're touching the root of your own doubts, be still, listen more closely, because somewhere, in the quiet shift of life turning back toward you, someone will appear, not loudly, not to fix you, but just to remind you of something you once knew and forgot. You are ready. And so the story takes a gentle turn where a hand is offered just as your shoulders fall from exhaustion. A signal, an invitation, a guide will reach for that next. In the coming part, help from where you least expect it. Have you ever felt lost in your own life and then, out of nowhere, someone walked in, not to change you, but to remind you of who you really are? The help the universe sends doesn't shout. It doesn't make a scene. There are no spotlights. It arrives gently, softly, sometimes through a glance you can't quite explain or a passing comment that makes you stop and feel, maybe for the first time in a while, that you're not alone. For Aries, who's used to doing everything alone, who's used to not needing anyone to catch them, help often arrives right when you're on the edge of letting go. And the miracle is, it's not always a hand that pulls you up. Sometimes it's a pair of eyes that help you see yourself again. That person could be someone from your past, someone you misunderstood, someone you never expected to return, or maybe just a stranger who says exactly what your soul needed to hear. And sometimes the help doesn't even come from a person. It shows up in a dream, in a song, in the wings of a bird flying across the sky, just as you lose your sense of direction. It could be a book someone left behind, an old song playing in your favorite cafe. These signs, they're subtle, easy to overlook, but if you're still enough, open enough, you'll feel them. Because they're not here to control you, they're here to help you trust your own intuition again. There's a deep truth about healing I want you to carry. Real help doesn't ask you to change. It simply creates space for you to return to who you've always been. Maybe you've already missed someone like that, pushed them away, laughed it off, told yourself, what could they possibly offer me? But life has a sense of humor shaped by the hands of God. Sometimes the key is hidden inside the very stone you once stepped over. Truth is, God never abandoned you. He was just waiting for you to wake up enough to see who was being sent your way. And when that person enters your life, there won't be fireworks, no spotlight, just one simple thing. Your heart will feel lighter and you'll start to rethink what you once thought was impossible. That's when the wound begins to heal, not because someone promised to rescue you, but because you remembered how strong you were before you forgot. Have you ever missed a sign like that? A small moment, a quiet soul, a passing chance that later you realized could have changed everything. If you have, share it. Someone else standing at a crossroads like you once did might need that light from your story. And if today you're hearing these words, maybe this is your sign, a sign that the messenger is on their way. And when they arrive, you'll have to act, because the moment of truth waits for no one. And that moment is exactly where we're headed next. Activating the universe, August 20, 2025. There are moments in life that don't ask for your permission. They come like thunder on a sunny day, like a sudden wind change you never saw coming. And for Aries, August 20, 2025 will be that moment, not just another day, but a cosmic intersection, when Mercury, Venus, and the Sun all align in your destiny sector. It's as if the sky itself is speaking in unison. It's time. It's enough. Move forward. This isn't a season to sit and wait for another sign, not a time to beg for more confirmation. If you've trained in the dark, if you've lost things that meant the world to you, if you've stayed silent just to hear the voice of your soul, then now it's time to choose. Choose to invest not just money but your heart. Choose to begin not just a project but a new way of living. Choose to open up not just to love but to being loved fully and rightly. You might still feel afraid. That's natural. But remember this, the biggest doors don't open with keys, they open with one brave step. There's a Buddhist teaching I hold close. When the timing is right, move with the wind, because if you hesitate, that seasonal wind will pass, and with it the very fortune you spent years sowing. That day, August 20th, will feel like a golden sky cracking open. A moment so alive that if you're present enough, you'll hear it, a subtle shift in the air, as if the universe is whispering, "Now is your time." Don't wait for certainty, because wealth doesn't come to those who play it safe. Happiness doesn't wait for perfect conditions, and miracles don't show up to hearts that stay locked. You may not see the whole path, but if you feel the light calling your name, then step. You don't need to know everything, you just need to believe this one thing. The door won't just open, it will burst wide with light, but only for those who dare to walk through. You've come too far to stop now. You've carried too much to doubt this moment. You've learned how to hear the quiet whispers within. So now, listen to the louder one from the sky, because once you step through, it won't just be a new path. There will be 3 golden gates waiting behind it, 3 pillars to hold your new reality, 3 gifts you've paid for with years of becoming, 3 keys leading you back to the version of you that deep down you always knew you were meant to be, and we'll walk through them together. In the next part, the 3 pillars of your new reality. When the gates of destiny open and light begins to pour into every crack within you, a quiet but powerful question rises from deep inside. So how will I live? From here, it's no longer about survival, it's about building. And for Aries, this new era isn't just about wealth or recognition. It's about planting your life again, with 3 pillars that are solid, meaningful, and spiritually awake. Pillar 1, financial wisdom. Not just money, but money with maturity. No more rash decisions driven by fear. No more sleepless nights wondering what might be lost. From here on, money becomes more than a means to survive. It becomes a reflection of your inner growth. A stream you guide with purpose, to plant seeds, build something lasting, and lift others with it. You stop patching fear and start building value. Pillar 2, purposeful career. Not just being good at what you do, but thinking bigger, building systems, teaching others, empowering people. Not shouting to be heard, but standing firm in your quiet credibility. You're no longer trying to please, you're focused on doing what's right. And strangely, when you stop needing validation, the light you carry begins to call in those who truly need it. Pillar 3, inner freedom, the final gem. No more proving your worth. No more forcing your strength. No more shrinking to meet expectations or fighting every judgment. True freedom isn't about escaping rules. It's about not being ruled by the voice of self-doubt. It's that quiet moment when you pass by a mirror and finally don't see a work in progress, but a soul returning home, growing, shining in its own true way. And you know what? It's when you no longer fear losing that the universe begins to trust you with more. Because true wealth never begins by controlling scarcity. It begins the moment you trust the flow of enough. True abundance begins when you stop managing scarcity and start trusting the flow. So of these 3 pillars, which one are you ready to build first? Share that insight, because what you're waking up to today could be the silent prayer someone else out there has been waiting to hear. And if you've stayed with me this far, then maybe you already feel it. You're not where you used to be. This journey is almost complete. But before we part ways, allow me to offer you something simple but filled with all my gratitude. Some journeys feel like you're walking them alone, until one day you look back and realize light has been walking with you all along. If you're hearing this right now, then I believe you're one of the rare ones who chose to keep going, even when the world didn't understand you. I don't know exactly what you've been through, but I do know this. No one makes it this far in life without a few cracks in the soul. And from those very cracks, light begins to enter. Dear Aries, you're not just someone who survives the storm. You're someone who once fell and still held on to faith. Someone who was misunderstood and still chose truth. Someone who loved the wrong people, trusted the wrong places, but never gave up your heart. And that is a kind of wealth no dollar could ever measure. The universe never promised it would be easy, but one thing is always true. When you dare to step forward, the road appears. When you dare to believe, the door begins to turn. And when you dare to live as your full, true self, you don't need to wait for magic. You are the magic. Maybe you still carry some fears, some lingering questions, things you can't quite name yet. That's okay. You don't need clarity to begin. You just need honesty with your own heart. Because every honest step you take brings you closer to the mission your soul came here for. If today you're standing at a crossroads, holding a dream you haven't dared to name in years, please remember, no one can live your life for you, and no one has the right to keep you from the light waiting ahead. You've come too far to settle for a half-lived life. So live deeply, live fully, live like you are the proof that the divine still places miracles in this world. And if the next 33 years truly are a golden harvest, then I hope you harvest with peace in your heart. No rush, no desperation, no proving, just the quiet strength of a soul who walks with gratitude. Keep walking with kindness, with love, with the light you once hoped to receive from others, because now you're the one who carries it. Thank you for walking this path with me today. Wherever you are on your journey, your presence here is already a shining light. May you keep going with ease. Receive what is truly yours with peace, and leave not just wealth, but a real legacy of light in this world.